just around that corner.
I love helping people. I love seeing the difference that I can make.
The time I met Anna, she was 12.
It's not comfortable seeing death. No, I had to swallow my fear.
No! I knew I was dealing with a possession.
There's a shadow figure. I could see the body bag moving.
It was the most horrifying moment.
I know evil exists because I came face to face with it that night.
All right, I'm on my way.
In the heart of West Virginia, youth counselor Christy Stevens works with some of the state's most troubled children.
It's okay.
Get off me, bitch!
Richard, look at me. Look at me. Take a deep breath. I need you to listen to the security guards, all right?
My desire to help kids in trauma comes from the fact that I myself went through a lot when I was a kid.
Take him back to his room.
My own mom passed away by the time I was a teenager.
I'll be right there, okay? I'm just gonna be a minute.
I got to a point where I started realizing I had two options. I could either continue playing the victim and never get myself anywhere, or I could learn from these lessons and help other people going through the same things I was. So I decided to turn my experience into someone else's journey.
On this day, Christy meets with a new arrival.
Hi there.
Hi,
What's your name?
Anna.
Anna?
The time I met Anna, she was 12. Her mother was a substance addict, and Anna had run away from her mother.
You like to draw?
Yeah.
It was kind of like meeting a new friend all over again. Like, you start talking about common interests. Oh, my favorite color is blue. My favorite food is Italian.
Come on, let me show you around.
She's a very likable person. She was very smart. She was very intelligent.
But within a few short days of her arrival, Christy starts to notice a sudden change in Anna's behavior.
I remember coming in. And she was fighting, she was screaming, she was trying to bite the other counselors. She was trying to kick them.
Anna, it's okay. Leave me alone!
Oh, Anna.
While Anna sleeps under forced sedation, Christy straightens up the room.
I saw a black figure.
Hello?
I just thought that it was one of the boys that was on the unit that was coming back from the bathroom. I caught a second glimpse of it. It had red eyes. It quickly dashed out the hallway.
Excuse me?
I ran, chasing it. There was nothing. It was very scary. On the video, you could see where she was holding here, and she was writhing in pain. She was screaming in her bed. She's very scared. She's upset.
You're okay. You're okay. Nothing's gonna hurt you.
But I thought that she was screaming to get attention. This job creates this dependency, especially in children that are lonely and feel they have been thrown away by everyone else in their lives. They've been stabbed in the back by everyone they were supposed to trust. And I still feel strongly that this is my calling in life, and this is what I'm meant to do.
Over the next week, the counselor spends more time with the young girl, and a bond starts to develop.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
You mind if I join you?
Sure.
She had a notebook of her drawings.
Do you mind if I take a look?
Sure.
She showed me a picture that she had drawn.
Who's this?
The man.
She called him the man. That was the only thing she knew to call him. His eyes were red. It was very similar to what I saw myself. It was absolutely terrifying. At that point, I started putting two and two together, like, okay, I've seen this for myself, so I know this kid's not crazy.
How do you know the man?
He stands in the corner of my room at night and watches me sleep.
She had drawn her whole room, and he was standing in the corner of it watching her sleep. She started telling me that it would physically choke her at night. She would wake up.
I think I've seen something like him before. Promise me you won't show anybody these pictures, okay?
Okay.
I told her that I believed her, but that it had to stay between the two of us because no one else would accept it the way I had.
Oh my gosh, honey, who did this?
Like I told you, the man.
She told me that he had grabbed her while she was sleeping and she tried to fight it.
Oh my god.
And it scratched her. I was starting to become afraid for this kid. I went into work the next morning.
What is it?
It's Anna.
When Christy arrives, the man is nowhere to be seen. But looking into Anna's eyes, she can find no trace of her young friend.
I'm in shock at what I'm seeing. It was like a wild animal got loose. It was like something in between a man and a wolf.
Oh my god.
At that point, I knew I was dealing with a possession.
At a West Virginia juvenile detention center, youth counselor Christy Stevens believes that a mysterious entity wandering the halls has possessed her new patient, Anna.
Oh my god.
I know that this sounds crazy to most of the world, but there really are things out there beyond our belief and our control that we can't explain.
And one of those things has crawled into the treatment center and infected Anna. A thing both dark and dangerous.
I'm angry because not only is this thing messing with this kid that I've grown so attached to and so loving towards, but now it's also playing with my life and my job.
As Anna's state worsens, Christy is haunted by the secret that she is holding on to.
The first time I met Anna, was the same day that I first saw the shadow figure. And part of me knew that they had come because of her, and part of me didn't want to believe it. I hadn't been opening up to anyone about what I knew. I was afraid of being labeled as crazy. I was afraid of losing my job. But at the same time, I kind of felt like this was why I was working here in the first place. This is why I was called here, to help her regardless of what happened to me for it.
Christy goes home and turns to her faith for guidance.
I went home that night and I read my Bible and I looked up how to make holy oil. I'd felt like she was my own child. I wanted to protect this kid with everything in me. Now I was angry enough to go after it. I was ready to go back the next day and perform an exorcism.
There are no weapons you can buy in order to battle this kind of entity. It's not as though you can go to a gun locker and take out something that you can point and shoot. If you're going to be victorious, you need to have the guts, you need to have the grit, you need to have the sheer determination to stay the course no matter what happens.
But the demanding struggle Christy's faced over the past few weeks has left her drained. She desperately needs rest before confronting the evil that's tormenting Anna.
11 o'clock rolled around and my head hit the pillow and I was out cold. I began dreaming, and in the dream, I was walking into the facility. I walk into my unit. Anna was in a violent fit.
As Christy enters the room, the attacker's terrifying form becomes visible.
It was holding her down, kind of strangling her at that point. Somehow in my hand, I had a cross.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
It just let her go and looked at me.
You have no power here. This is a child of God.
I wasn't afraid of what would happen to me at the time because I'm dreaming. And it starts burning, like sizzling, like smoke coming up because he's touching this religious object that he should not be touching. He disappears. It's almost like a vortex. He like swirls into a black vortex and just kind of disappears. At this point, I grabbed oil out of my back pocket, the holy oil. And then I woke up at home. My heart was racing. I was sweating profusely, but my whole body was trembling.
Christy, Are you still in the building?
No, I was asleep.
Can you please come down here?
Yeah, I'm on my way.
It was work calling me. She wanted me there as soon as possible.
Hey.
Did you say you were at home?
Yeah, I was asleep. Why?
Since when?
I don't know, maybe 11?
Okay, you gotta see this.
On the surveillance tape, you could visibly see that I was standing in her doorway.
This is 11:30, almost 2 hours ago.
That's when I realized it was not a dream.
Desperate to drive out an evil force that's taken possession of her 12-year-old patient, Anna, youth counselor Christy Stevens has just confronted it in a terrifying nightmare. Now she's called in and shown video evidence that while she was sleeping, she was also in the facility.
As I'm staring at this, my face goes pale white, and I'm thinking, how is it possible I woke up in my bed at home, but in the video, you could visibly see that I was standing in her doorway.
You have no power here. This is a child of God.
She was screaming in her bed. And it wasn't until I physically showed up on the video that the outline of the figure also showed up. It was like he couldn't be seen until I saw him.
Can you please tell me what's going on? I'm about to have a heart attack.
I don't know.
Obviously, she could not have been physically in two places at the same time. The theory that best fits here is that she was astrally projecting. While her body was asleep in its bed, having a nightmare, or what she thought was a nightmare, her spirit was projected to the place she was most needed in order to combat something that was threatening the young girl.
The next morning, Christy is anxious to check on Anna.
I walked into the facility. I saw Anna sitting at her table, and our eyes meet. She smiled at me. It was a normal, happy, I'm back kind of smile. A lot of the mental illnesses she was diagnosed with went away completely, and she actually ended up being reunified with her mother. This event actually changed my life because it really changed my outlook on the afterlife and the paranormal. I knew that I didn't need to doubt myself. I didn't need to doubt the abilities I had. I didn't need to question whether or not what I was seeing or feeling or hearing was real. I know evil exists because I came face to face with it that night.
Security guard Glenn Ferguson has recently moved to Canada after a career in the British military.
I originally grew up in England, the northeast coast, a place called Newcastle, with the army. My last tour of duty was Desert Storm in 1991. It was a natural progression for me to move from that kind of military background to security.
Late into the evening, an ambulance arrives carrying the body of a man who just recently passed away.
Ferguson, we have a deceased patient arrival on main floor. Proceed at once to the emergency entrance for transfer, then transport to the cooler.
I'm on it.
Anderson's gonna meet you there.
Working with the morgue is a little bit different for us. Most of us who were on the security staff were ex-military. So to turn down an offer of working in the morgue was kind of one of those things where you didn't want to look as if you were a bit of a wimp in a way when it came to dealing with the dead.
Can you get the bag unzipped?
Yeah.
He was a German dancer who had succumbed to a heart attack and passed away.
Where do you think he got this outfit?
We didn't really like touching dead bodies as they came in. We would prefer to have the ambulance crew deal with transferring the body. But he was a heavy guy, large guy.
Let's get him on the table.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
So it was myself and my partner who decided to actually transfer the body from the stretcher to the gurney. I did get to see a lot of death and destruction during my time in the army.
Sorry, man.
It's not comfortable seeing death. But like I said, at the time I was 27 years old. Now I had to swallow my fear. I felt something touch me.
What is it?
What is what?
You tap me on the shoulder.
Dude, I haven't moved from this spot.
This was just right behind me, like right on my ass.
Okay.
So at that point, we proceeded on with our regular security patrols for that night. But then something strange started to happen.
Ferguson, we have an open corridor door in the morgue. It set off the emotion alarm. Go back down there, make sure it's shut tight.
Yeah, 10-4, we're on it.
We had calls from the information center saying that the door, one of the lockers, was open. It was just odd. It was the first time in about 3 years that something had happened down in the morgue to trigger that alarm.
While Ferguson investigates the fridge, his partner turns off the alarm.
I took a look at the bodies just to make sure that nothing had been changed or moved. Obviously, I'm thinking that somebody had broken in the back door and messed with the bodies, which is... It happened occasionally, but not in my time at the hospital.
Looks good to me.
There was no one there.
Security section 6C clear. False alarm.
There was no cause for that alarm. Like, we checked the sensors, we checked the back door, it was solid. There was no reason for that alarm to go off.
Sure. Oh, God. Is that the same section?
Yep. No worries. I got this time. All right?
I was a little bit ticked off. And I'm thinking, okay, it's just another false alarm. I'll check the back door and I'll be done. door, which I came into, slammed shut. That door doesn't slam. It just doesn't slam. Now you have to open it physically and manually close it, as if someone actually physically pushed it from the inside.
Who's there?
The light's gone off, and there's no reason why the light should go off. You have to manually turn off that light physically. I reached down for my flashlight. Unfortunately, I left the flashlight at the security station. So now I'm in the dark, and I'm freaking out.
Who's there?
I'm hearing rustling coming from one of the body bags. And it kept doing it. It kept rattling. It kept rustling. Something was going on within that morgue that I couldn't describe.
While investigating a series of false alarms in a hospital morgue, security officer Glenn Ferguson
Who's there?
is plunged into the dark with disturbing sounds and movements coming from the body bag of a recently deceased man.
Something was going on within that morgue that I couldn't describe.
It's a morgue. People are supposed to be uneasy in there. You're standing around a whole bunch of dead bodies. That's totally understandable from a psychological point of view. But there are many, many traditions from cultures around the world that the human spirit remains with the body for several hours, if not days, after death.
Convinced there is someone else in the pitch black room with him, Glenn starts to panic.
I could see the body bag moving. It's as if somebody was actually trying to get out of the bag. I just wanted to get out of there. Obviously, I hadn't brought a flashlight, so I'm in complete dark. My heart was pounding, and I'm surrounded by dead people. I could actually hear the zipper sliding down. And I almost shit my pants. I just lost orientation within the room. I have no way to find my way out of there other than by touch and feel. Been in fear of my own death in combat. And I've seen enough death to last me a lifetime, but to actually have something physically in the room with me, that scared me to death. As I reached the door, that's when things really got creepy. As I turned around, there's a guy standing in the corner of the room with a hood. Dark figure, shadow figure. And I could see the body bag moving next to him. And I felt as if he was starting to move towards me. That's when I panicked and screamed like a little girl. I don't think I've ever been that scared before in my life.
Trapped in a dark hospital morgue, security officer Glenn Ferguson is horrified by a corpse that seems to have come back from the dead. And a hooded figure.
I just wanted to get out of that building.
Okay, so then what happened after that? Did you tell your supervisor?
Sorry, it's kind of
Okay,
getting emotional.
tell me.
As I walked in the front door, I informed my supervisor that I'd had that event.
Yeah.
He didn't believe me. He looked at me with some sort of disparaging look, like, oh, you're losing it. Maybe you weren't seeing what you were seeing, but I knew somebody was in that cooler with me.
When Glenn finally gets home and manages to sleep, he can't help but endure the events over and over again.
In the weeks following the event, I had numerous nightmares. I was back in the morgue. This figure would be standing in the corner room, hooded figure, and he'd reach over and unzip the bag. The German guy would poke out and say, "Why?" and look at me, screaming almost, "Why?" I just found that I couldn't go down to the morgue anymore. I just didn't want to spend any time down there. I've never been in the morgue since, and never will again.
The memories of that terrifying night and the dreams that ensue make it impossible for Glenn to perform his duties.
About a month and a half after I had that experience, I actually ended up leaving the hospital and moving on to a different position, which was a little bit less stressful, a little less violent.
Negative entities seem to be drawn to human fear. They feed upon it. And so it's no surprise that Glenn felt this entity drawn to his fear was malevolent and that it meant him harm. We're not entirely sure why it is that emotion seems to fuel paranormal activity. But what we see is that the stronger and more intense the emotion is, the more powerful the paranormal activity that accompanies it seems to be. And what more primal, visceral, what stronger emotion is there that a human or an animal can feel than fear?
100% I guarantee that the event was real. People who don't believe what I'm saying, you know what, you have to experience it for yourself.
One foot in front of the other, just like that. Just around the corner, that's it.
Emily McKeithron's dream of becoming a nurse is something she has carried with her since she was a child.
I love helping people. I love seeing the difference that I can make. I've always just been naturally like a caring person.
Just around that corner. Feeling okay? Yeah.
I feel very rewarded when I'm able to help people and see that I've made a positive difference in their life in some way.
Emily occasionally picks up shifts in the hospital's psychiatric ward.
Go.
Where unsupervised patients must be confined to their rooms.
It was a lockdown with a lot of clients with mental health problems or dementia. A lot of the clients wanted to leave and they couldn't leave. It was a dark environment, and I did feel badly for a lot of the clients.
With all of her clients in bed, Emily focuses on the regular duties for this, her first night shift.
I always felt like there could be somebody there with me when there wasn't. It was kind of uncomfortable being alone in that place.
Alone at the nursing station, she goes over patient reports.
I was looking down, just kind of flipping through the paper, reading through, making my own notes about whatever it is I needed to look at that night or address. I did feel alone, for sure. It did feel pretty dark, and I wasn't used to working in that environment when there was nobody up. I saw what I thought was the short, rounder man with a hospital gown on.
Hello?
The door is only locked from one way for a safety reason, so it would have to be a nursing staff or facility staff that would have unlocked the door. And I turned to look in the direction of where the person had just gone. There was nobody down the hall at all. And I just, in my mind, thought, okay, this isn't unusual. It's an old building. There's constantly problems going on.
Emily pursues the figure down the dark hallway.
I was nervous. It just felt very isolated and I was fearful.
She comes across a room with an open door, but it's empty.
They had taken apart the bed, which was routine when there was nobody in the room. So they just left the room pretty quickly, relocked it. We went back into the nursing station. I sat back down and I continued on going through the reports. I didn't overanalyze it. And then a few minutes later, I had the call bell go off. And I saw that it was that same room. There was nobody in that room, and it was locked. Even now, I can feel that sense of the hair standing up and feeling a little bit uncomfortable, okay, this is odd, what's going on?
Who's in there?
I need some help. I need some help.
And I heard what sounded like a distant voice saying, I need some help.
Help me.
And it sounded to me like an elderly man.
Help me. I need some help.
I was terrified.
Alone on her first night shift in a hospital's locked-down psychiatric ward, rookie nurse Emily McKeithron hears an ominous call for help.
I need some help.
From an empty patient room.
I was shooken. I was definitely just in fear.
Emily calls a senior nurse from another floor to assist her.
What's wrong? You okay? But there's nobody in that room.
I know.
It's fairly well known that spirit entities will use electrical communication systems in order to communicate with the living. In hospitals, the phenomenon of call buttons being pressed in rooms without any patients is fairly well documented.
Emily and the other nurse investigate the irrational circumstances.
Because I am a rational person, and in nursing you are very rational, I tried to just think it through. So in my mind, I just thought, okay, it's probably a wiring problem. The room felt really dark and cold. I can see the call bell beside where the bed would be. And it's off, it's dark.
Next, they move to check the bathroom.
I just felt really uncomfortable in a heavy sense, just sort of dreading what would be behind that door.
There's nothing there.
I felt very scared. It was the middle of the night, just myself and this other lady here.
They relock the room and return to the nursing station.
Oh my God.
The bell went off again.
We have to go back.
It's just electrical, right? Don't worry.
We went down the hallway back to the room. We were both really, really freaked out. And I was just dreading, like, the whole situation. I just didn't want to be there in that moment at all. But I knew that we needed to check. There beside the bed, the call bell light is flashing.
That's not possible.
In order for that light to have been turned on, you would have to pull the bell or push it on. There's no other way you could turn that light on. It's a manual light. You have to activate it that way.
I need some help.
What's that?
What's what?
It was just the most horrifying moment. It was like slow motion.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Shut the door.
We just turned around and left that room as quick as we could. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I was so afraid. I was just reacting from a place of fear.
The senior nurse returns to her floor. Alone, Emily spends the rest of her shift trying to ignore any calls coming from room 312.
I don't remember what happened the rest of the shift because it was just a horrible experience. I found out in the morning that there were rumors that that particular ward was haunted, and so I never worked another night shift again. This event changed me because it confirmed that some spirits stick around for whatever reason.
I need some help. Help me.
When Emily gets the call light, this is something that the spirit did in order to bring her close to it. What we can't say for sure is whether it just wanted attention or whether it was trying to lure her in close in order to get whatever it wanted from her.
Hello?
What do you say to somebody who says, nah, it was wiring and you're spooking yourself?
To be honest, I don't really care when people say that they don't believe. I just say, okay, good for you. And maybe one day you'll have an experience and that'll change your perspective. Because once you've had something like that, especially with somebody else there with you experiencing the same thing, then it doesn't leave any room for doubt.